prior to June 2004, when the federal government under former President Olusegun Obasanjo passed the Pension Reform Act, giving rise to the current contributory pension scheme and the National Pension Commission, which oversees both pension administrators, that's PFAs, and PFCs, that's pension fund custodians. Only public sector employees and employees of a select few corporate organizations were eligible for retirement benefits under the country's pension plans. Contributors to pension plans who are currently employed can now use the remaining balance in their retirement savings account to pay for equity contributions for mortgages. The pension regulator has also introduced what we call the micro pension plan. It launched that in 2019. How far are we doing? My guest is joining me right now. He's the managing director at Fidelity Pension Managers, Donald Onuoha. Mr. Onuoha, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Now, let's get started, but I want to start from the basics, and I always like breaking it down for our viewers here, and I don't always assume that almost all Nigerian or, every Nigerian out there is a financial literate, as it were. The financial literacy is still very low here in Nigeria. Explain to our viewers really what a pension is. Let's take it from that angle.
Okay, all right, Nancy, thanks a lot. And again, thank you for having me here. So I think the first thing is to say that at some point, all of us are going to retire. Age is an important factor. At some point, you may not be strong enough to take up certain, types of employment. So it simply means that at that point, you would depend on what you've accumulated over the years for sustenance. So pension is simply a way of preparing for tomorrow, just to make sure that you have some level of income that will help you to maintain a decent standard of living when you're no longer working. Like you said in the opening comments, we've had all sorts of pension plan in the past, but during the tenure of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, we had a major landmark, pension reform. The first law was passed in 2004, which sort of brought some level of uniformity in the pension space in Nigeria. 10 years after, in 2014 to be precise, under the regime of former President Goodluck Jonathan, that first pension law was reformed to, strengthen the pillars of the scheme, and then also make it a lot more attractive. So it's essential that it will plan for tomorrow. It's important that while you're working, you're able to pay your bill. It's also important for you to save something for tomorrow. The principle is if you defer consumption today, you would have something to consume tomorrow. So that's really the essence of the pension plan in a nutshell. Thank you.
So in essence, pensions is a kind of savings, really, but it's savings for tomorrow, as it were, so that you don't get to eat everything or get to spend everything that you're making today. So you've got to plan and build for the future. So thank you for that. At least our viewers can now understand that. I know you are you're a pension fund administrator. That's a PFA. Can you speak to me apart from government? Because if you work for government, of course, savings for your pension is a bit easier. But speak to me about the acceptance so far, even within the private space. And if you can give me like a figure, if you have, of perhaps the pensioners that we have in Nigeria. I know that PENCOM normally updates, but at least for those of you in the field, if you can give me an idea of what it is.
Okay, thanks again, Nancy. I think to start, just to share some industry statistics.
Yeah.
As at 30th of September 2022, we have approximately 9.7 million Nigerians with retirement savings accounts. And in terms of Naira and Kobo, we've been able to grow in leaps and bounds. We've been able to amass as much as 14.4 trillion. However, if you look at that number and compare that with working population, which is in the neighborhood of more than 40 million, you would see that coverage is still a major challenge. If you look at the Pension Reform Act of 2014, whether you are in the public sector, that's federal government public sector or state public sector, or you operate within the private sector environment, or you run a business of your own, you would obviously, find a way, to have retirement savings account. So in a nutshell, if you work for government at the federal or state level, you're allowed to have retirement savings accounts. If you work for an organization with more than three employees, you're also expected to have a retirement savings account. If you work for yourself or a sole proprietor, or you just run your business, you can also have a retirement savings account under what is called the micro pension plan. So coverage is a major challenge. If you look at our population in Nigeria and the fact that we just have slightly, below 10 million Nigerians covered under any sort of pension plan, it's really a challenge. Our regulator, the National Pensions Commission, has done a lot, just to unbundle that space and allow Nigerians within the informal sector space to come under the pension bucket. And I mean, that's the major reason why PENCOM introduced the micro pension plan today. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be coming back to the micro pension plan in a bit, but I just still want to interrogate you further, especially as you've talked about, and it's a very abysmal statistic that we have about 40 million Nigerians that are actively in work and 9.7 million of Nigerians, which is still less than 10% of that 40 million, do have RSAs. What do you think that is responsible for that? And how do you think that people like you and your colleagues can actually increase the coverage of pension culture in Nigeria?
I think I think it's also cultural. It's also cultural. Uh, I mean, we cannot divorce that from this discussion. Uh, Many people do not like to have conversations around pension or
Growing
anything
old.
that has to do with retirement. It's same thing when you approach someone to say that, why don't you have a will?
Yeah.
The next thing is that, are you saying that I'm going to die? So financial planning is still at
Yeah.
its, I mean, infancy in Nigeria.
Mm.
But we're also doing a lot in terms of education. We have an umbrella body that is called Pension Operators Nigeria, PENOP. We've done quite a lot in terms of visibility and media campaign, just to reach out to more Nigerians and, sort of encourage them to plan for tomorrow. Uh, if you look at building a house, for example, if you want to build a house, you would first of all acquire land, and then you also need to get someone, who is like an architect that will sit down and, sort of design or draw the building that you have in mind. The architect will say you need to have door here, you need to have window here. So the whole idea is there's some sort of plan with specifics, uh, which would exactly mirror what you have in mind. But you if you also look at retirement planning, many people do not take that route or that approach. What you find is that a lot of people will tell you that is not my portion.
Yeah.
Uh, Traditional retirement strategies are failing, where we believe that our children will take care of us when we are old or when we're no longer working. So it's important that uh, you have a pension plan today. Uh, what has happened is that through Pencom, that space is now completely unbundled. So if you have a shop, a corner shop, and you do your business every day, my message to you is that at some point, age will come upon you, and you may not be able to do a lot. Age comes with difficulty in terms of mobility, and at that point you also need to pay your bills. So if you have a corner shop, you can come under the umbrella of the micro pension plan today and register with a licensed pension fund administrator. and save for tomorrow. The interesting thing is that while you are saving that money, we're also behind the scene researching the investment environment, investing your money in line with regulation, and some sort of investment income is paid to you on daily basis, which would help to preserve the value of the value of your contribution, so that at the point of retirement, you're able to maintain decent standard of living. So the challenge is cultural, Nancy, and I can also confess to you that a lot has not happened around education, and that's why I'm happy that you've dedicated this platform and this time for us to reach out to more Nigerians and explain to them the benefit of having a retirement savings and plan and encouraging them to start one today. Thank you.
Now, let's take a look at, would you've enumerated some reasons why this pension culture is there, and I like the fact that you said a lot of people don't want to talk about pension. People don't even want to think that one day they will grow old, or something will happen. They say, God forbid, oh no, it's not my portion and all of that. But one thing is that death and age, old age will definitely come. Do you also think that perhaps the pictures that we saw in the past, especially around the former scheme, the defined benefits scheme, is also a part of what has not cleared in people's minds and brains since the new scheme came on board? So people still take a look at, oh, even if I contribute for my pension, they will not give it to me. Don't you see how government was treating its people and all of that? Do you think that that is really over? And that is also having an impact on the number of people that we see contributing for their pensions or having RSAs?
Yeah, I mean, that's you're right. Uh, if you look at the history of pension in Nigeria, time will not permit me to go down, and talk about what has happened in the past. The first pension law in Nigeria, up until when uh, Obasanjo, powered that pension reform in 2004. So you cannot divorce the failures of defined benefit scheme with respect to the apathy that we witness today around the contributory pension scheme. Defined benefit scheme is not a bad scheme, but the only challenge is that the employer has the obligation to fund, that entire pension chain as it is. So it's called defined benefit scheme because at the point of exit, your benefit is defined. For example, under the old pension scheme in Nigeria, if you're working for government, and government will say that if you put in 30 years, at the point of exit, a certain percentage of your final salary will be paid to you as gratuity, and then on monthly basis, a certain percentage of your salary will be paid to you as pension for life. So the challenge is around funding. So what happens is that every year, government will make provision for that payment in the budget. If the budget is implemented 100%, you will get paid. If for any reason why government is struggling with respect to revenue, or challenge around budget implementation, you're likely not going to get your money. So that's the picture of the old pension scheme. I mean, we all grew up to see, pensioners under the bridge across the country, or pensioners protesting everywhere, saying that they're not receiving, their retirement benefits after putting in 30 years of service, to our country. So the difference uh, between defined benefit scheme and contributing pension scheme is that, for contributing pension scheme, which is operational today in Nigeria, at the end of every month, your employer is expected to deduct 8% of your monthly emolument. The monthly emolument is defined as a summation of your basic housing and transport. So only three items are pensionable. Your employer will deduct 8% of your basic housing and transport. Your employer is also expected to complement that with 10% of your basic housing and transport. So in all, it's 18% of your monthly emoluments, which is 18% of your basic housing and transport. So your employer will deduct that, and then send that to your pension fund administrator, your appointed pension fund administrator. So from day one, it is fully funded So you do not have any liability at all. At your employer is paying your salary every month. The money is sent to your PFA. So your PFA is licensed by National Pensions Commission. The 20 PFAs we have today are private sector organizations regulated by PENCOM, and then we have clear investment guidelines. We have places where we're allowed to invest pension funds. We can invest pension funds in government debt instruments like bonds. We can invest in equity. We can invest in commercial papers, etc. So the whole idea is to make sure that your money is generating some level of investment return that will help preserve the purchasing power of your money, and that would help to preserve your capital, so that at the point of retirement, you would have, some level of decent income to power. To power your living at that point. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about one of the new things that have been introduced, which is if you own a retirement savings account, as if you're an RSA holder, you can actually access funds for a mortgage. Can you quickly explain this, and what are the things involved?
Okay, so if you sit with retirees, I've worked over 15 years in the pension industry. I see them a lot. If they walk into our office and you ask them, what is your biggest challenge today as you are about to retire? The first thing that they'll tell you is that, shelter, it's also a major problem for them. You don't want to be paying house rent at the point of retirement. So shelter is a very big problem for most retirees. And it was on that basis that National Pension Commission had to also, listen to Nigerians to say that, the pension fund should also play a major role in unlocking, the housing market, and, sort of allow, Nigerians who currently maintain employments today to be able to access mortgage and then own a home, while they are working. So the whole idea of RSA mortgage is to allow retirement savings account holders to acquire residential mortgage, while they are working, and over time liquidate that mortgage loan, so that at the point of retirement, you retire into your home. That will give you a lot of confidence. That will also help. To to extend life expectancy at some point. So if you have a retirement savings account with any PFA in Nigeria today, and you have contributed for 60 months or 5 years, employee contribution for 60 months or 5 years, you can access a maximum of 25% of your RSA balance, as equity contribution for residential for residential mortgage. It's expected that that would help deepen the housing market. That will also help many Nigerians, own a home while they are still working. Thank you.
Okay, let's take a look at additional voluntary contribution. Some RSAs can make additional voluntary contribution, isn't it? What steps can they take to make this contribution? And if they do, are they merits to taking that step?
Okay, so I think the way to look at it is to say, typical of life. If today you decide to save money, immediately you have a problem. The problem is that, where am I going to save that money? Should I put it in a bank savings account? Should I invest in, equity? Should I also invest in money market instruments, etc.? So what are the benefits of leaving my money in a bank savings account, or investing in equity, or maybe investing in money market, etc.? I was listening to you before this interview. Inflation is over 20% today in Nigeria, which is also a major challenge. So if you're not able to achieve return over inflation, in reality,
yeah.
you're losing money.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the pension law in Nigeria today, specifically Section 4, subsection 3, you're allowed to have what is called voluntary contribution. So in addition to the 18% mandatory portion, you can also contribute more. So that more is what is called voluntary contribution. And if you maintain RSA, you can have AVC. If you work with an employer that has a closed pension fund administrator, you can also have voluntary contribution. If you work for an employer that has approved existing scheme, you can also have voluntary contribution today in Nigeria. If you're a foreigner, you can have voluntary contribution in Nigeria today. If you're the political appointee of either the president or state governor, or an elected official, you can also have a voluntary contribution. So the idea is to save more, enjoy competitive return, and of course, because pension contribution is tax exempt,
Yeah.
for any amount of money you're contribution, yeah, for any amount of money you're contributing for the purpose of AVC, you don't pay tax on that amount of money. So you enjoy tax relief. You will also earn very good return on investment, and that's the reason why I would encourage everyone to approach your PFA and start a simple AVC plan today. It will help you have some sort of emergency fund, so that whenever you run into some level of financial crisis, financial storm happen from time to time. A clear example is what happened 2 years ago, when all of
COVID.
us woke up one morning,
Yeah.
and we are told that we can't go out because of COVID. Many people lost their job. Many businesses collapsed. The question is, what would you fall back to whenever you experience financial storm? So, APC can help you to have an emergency fund. APC can also help you to achieve, some savings goal for yourself. For example, if you want to save, to buy a land, if you want to save to buy a vehicle, if you want to save for marriage, if you want to save for your kids' university education, you can also use APC to do that. That way, you're reducing tax. You're also enjoying good return on investment. And you're allowed to withdraw from your APC if you are currently working and you have RSA. You can withdraw from your APC once every 2 years. You can access as much as 50%, of what you've contributed once every 2 years. You only pay tax on the income if you're withdrawing before 5 years. If you're withdrawing your APC after 5 years, you don't pay any tax on income. But if you're the foreigner or you are part of those exempted, you can withdraw all your AVC, once your contract is over. However, if you're withdrawing before 5 years, you pay tax both on the principal amount and income. But if you're withdrawing after 5 years, you do not pay any tax. So it's actually an excellent tool to save for specific financial goal, to also maintain some level of emergency fund that will help you deal with crisis in life. Thank you.
Now let's talk about this RSA, that's retirement savings account. You see that many people in Nigeria really live for now and today. Not many people do think about tomorrow. Are there benefits of having RSA to make Nigerians live better lives? That is one question. The second question also I would want to ask you is that of micro pensions. PENCOM also introduced that and launched it in 2019, like I said earlier. What is the concept of this micro pensions, even as we almost round up the program?
Okay, so I will start from your first question. For your first question, why should a Nigerian have a retirement savings account today? Things happen in life. Financial storm happen from time to time. Things that are not planned happen from time to time. Part of risk management is to be honest, to yourself, to say that something can go wrong tomorrow. So the whole idea of having a pension plan is to mitigate the risk of old age poverty, so that when you're old, you do not have to depend on religious organization or institution for your sustenance, or the nuclear family for your sustenance, or your neighbor, or your children. It is that you've accumulated savings while you're working, and that can also help you to maintain a decent standard of living. That will also help you to live the kind of life that you desire. That will also help you, to, achieve that your dream, of living a decent life at the point of retirement. If you do not have a pension plan today, the things I highlighted may happen to you when you're old, and that's also a fundamental point that we must not miss out in the course of this discussion. So having a pension plan will help you to manage your risk better, would help you to plan. For example, if you have a retirement savings account today, if you go to any PFA website, you'll see a calculator that will help you to project how much you may likely have at the point of retirement. I mean, using your current contribution rate and your RSA balance. So you can say to yourself that my 25% lump sum, which I will collect at the point of retirement, would be X amount of money, which would help you to say, if you want to go into some sort of, vocation at the point of retirement, whether it's to start a small business or whether to do consulting, that money will become like a seed capital that will help you to achieve that your dream. So in a nutshell, having a pension plan, would prevent you from facing the risk, that is very, that is very real at the point when you no longer be able to take up some kind of work. So yeah, the second question on micro pension plan, it's to help bring Nigerians under the informal sector space to have some sort of pension plan. You walk around everywhere in Lagos, you find that many Nigerians operate within the informal sector space. So it will be a disaster if that space do not come under the pension coverage. What you will find is that you have a lot of your citizens, when they are old, they are not, they don't have anything to take care of themselves. They don't have any income, to power their expenditure when they're old. So that's the whole idea of the micro pension plan. So if you have a small business or you operate on your own, the truth is that you have need for retirement planning, and the micro pension plan is what will help you to achieve that. Just to also, make sure that Nigerians within the informal sector space also benefit maximally from micro pension. You're allowed to withdraw from your micro pension plan. You're allowed to withdraw 40%. So for every 1,000 naira that you contribute, 40% is available, for contingency purposes, and 60% is there for a retirement. So if you have any needs to withdraw from your micro pension account, you can withdraw 40% of whatever you have in your micro pension account, after 90 days, of opening a retirement savings account with any PFF of your choice. So that way, if you run into any financial difficulty, you can easily come to your PFA, and withdraw a portion from your micro pension plan. So it is something that everyone should embrace, just to plug that risk that may crystallize when we are old. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Onuoha. Thank you for this. This interview today is sounding to me like a Pension 101 class. I hope to have you again sometime so that we can do Pension 202 if we've graduated, or we'll do Pension 101 or Pension 102. And I hope that our viewers have taken this so that it can, help them, because everyone needs to plan for the future. So thank you very much, Mr. Onuoha. Have a great day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you.
All right, I've been speaking to Donald Onuoha, who is the Managing Director of Fidelity Pension Managers. You've heard it from him. In case you want to rewatch the show again, Please do, so that you can get those nuggets and start planning for your retirement. You won't be 30 forever. You won't be 40 forever. You won't even be 20 forever. You've got to continue to save for your retirement. I'll see you all again next week. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be and be that change that you want to see. Bye now.